In 2014, a 30-year-old billionaire appeared on the cover of Forbes. She was hailed as the next Steve Jobs. Her company was valued at $9 billion. Her name was Elizabeth Holmes. She claimed her startup, Theranos, could revolutionize blood testing, using just a single drop of blood. No needles, no vials, no waiting days for lab results. Investors believed her, politicians endorsed her, major pharmacies partnered with her. There was just one problem. The technology didn't work. Elizabeth Holmes grew up in Washington, D.C. From an early age, she spoke about changing the world. At 19, she dropped out of Stanford University to build Theranos. Her idea sounded simple. Traditional blood testing required large samples sent to centralized labs. Holmes imagined a small device, portable, efficient, revolutionary. She wore black turtlenecks. She spoke in a measured, unusually deep voice. She built an image of quiet genius. Silicon Valley doesn't just invest in products, it invests in vision. And Holmes had vision. Theranos attracted powerful names. Former Secretary of State George Shultz joined the board. Former Defense Secretary James Mattis joined. Major political figures lent credibility. Retail giant Walgreens partnered with the company. Investors poured in more than $700 million. At its peak, Theranos was valued at $9 billion. Holmes herself was worth an estimated $4.5 billion on paper. But inside the company, the story was different. The proprietary device, known internally as Edison, struggled with accuracy. Tests produced inconsistent results. Some employees raised concerns, but departments were compartmentalized. Information was restricted. Silence was enforced. One young employee, Tyler Schultz, began noticing alarming discrepancies in blood test results. He saw data that didn't match public claims. He raised concerns internally. They were dismissed. He persisted. Eventually, he contacted journalist John Carreyrou of the Wall Street Journal. Carreyrou began investigating. He interviewed former employees. He reviewed internal documents. In October 2015, the Wall Street Journal published its first exposé. It alleged that Theranos was not using its own revolutionary technology for many tests. Instead, it relied on traditional machines. The article shook Silicon Valley. Theranos denied the allegations. Elizabeth Holmes went on television. She insisted the technology worked. She called the reports misleading. But regulators stepped in. The FDA began examining the devices. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services launched investigations. Walgreens terminated its partnership. Thousands of blood test results were voided. Patients were informed that their medical data may have been inaccurate. Theranos' valuation didn't slowly decline. It collapsed. By 2018, the company dissolved. In 2018, Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos executive Ramesh Sunny Balwani were charged with fraud. Prosecutors argued they knowingly misled investors. They claimed Holmes exaggerated the company's capabilities. The defense argued she genuinely believed in the vision. That failure does not equal fraud. The trial began in 2021. Former employees testified. Emails were presented as evidence. Financial projections were scrutinized. In January 2022, Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty on multiple counts of wire fraud. She was later sentenced to more than 11 years in federal prison. Sunny Balwani was also convicted. The founder who once graced magazine covers now faced prison time. But Theranos was not just a story about one person. It was a story about Silicon Valley, about hype cycles, about investor psychology, about how charisma can overpower caution. In tech culture, bold claims are celebrated. Fake it till you make it is often seen as ambition. But in healthcare, lives are involved. Theranos exposed a dangerous intersection: startup culture, financial incentives, and medical trust. When storytelling replaces science, the consequences are real. Elizabeth Holmes built a narrative powerful enough to convince the world, investors, politicians, patients. For years, few asked hard questions. Theranos became one of the most infamous startup fraud cases in modern history, and it left behind a warning. Innovation without verification can become deception.